Hello there, family. How are you guys doing today? I am back for another episode of Dr. Sumner's Summit to Wellness, and I'm very happy to chat about a topic that I think is super prevalent. It is Men's Health Week. Not sure if you guys were aware of that, but in honor of Men's Health Week, I would like to talk about a subject that we probably don't talk about often enough, but it affects so many men. So join in if you're a woman and you've got a special man in your life. Bring them on in the conversation. Share with someone who you think would benefit. And if you're a guy, I really encourage you to tune in because this is a topic that affects so many. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Felicia Sumner. I'm a board-certified family medicine physician, and I am dedicated to getting you well, whole, energized, and loving life by breaking out of the matrix. I do this through my online health education platforms and through my direct primary care practice and through functional medicine. So I try my best to think outside the box and work on digging a little bit deeper in a number of ways. So I'm really excited to bring this news to you. Today we're going to be talking about low testosterone. Have you guys heard about this epidemic? It seems like there's so many people, especially in the past few years, it seems to be a really popular term that a lot of people unfortunately are getting treated for low testosterone, and it's really not possibly an issue for them. But there are a lot of men who are affected by this, and that's why I think that we should chat about it and hopefully figure out how do you get diagnosed and what can you do naturally to bring your own testosterone levels up, and what might you want to chat with your doctor about in order to get tested and to get treated, possibly even pharmaceutically. So let's get this chat started. If you have questions along the way, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'll definitely address them, whether it's here or throughout the video, or I can comment later. So please drop in your comments. I'd love to have you interact as much as possible. So where are you tuning in from? First of all, let me know. I am here in the Philadelphia area in Delaware County, so right outside of Philadelphia. And I'd love to hear where you guys are tuning in from. Drop it in the comments below, please. But let's get started. Does anyone know what really testosterone is? You know, it's like the man hormone, right? Believe it or not, though, a lot of women have testosterone in our system too. Women, we need testosterone in order to survive and make certain hormones. Testosterone is precursor to a number of hormones for us as well. But, testosterone, it's considered, the manhood hormone. But, if you don't have enough of it, it can certainly wreak havoc for women, but definitely also for men. So this hormone for men, it's produced in your testicles, and it plays a large role in male sexuality, in reproduction, in fertility for men. It even contributes to your muscle mass, your hair growth, even like the less flashy things like your bone density, the levels of red blood cells in you, your sense of well-being, so like your mood being positive, all of those things are affected by your testosterone level. But what's interesting is you make a bunch of testosterone, right, as you're younger. I think around like age 12 or so is when you start to produce a whole lot more of testosterone, which makes sense, right? I'm sure all of you men who are tuning in feel like, okay, that makes sense. That's around the time I started thinking like I wanted to be a man. But really beginning around age 30 is when, for most men, your testosterone levels begin to decline, and then it just continues to decline over time. So if it makes any sense for you, if you're a guy and you're older than 30, you can remember maybe that point when you around hit 30 and you felt like, geez, I'm a little more tired. I don't have all the same oomph that I used to have. And some of that does come from a natural decline in testosterone levels. There are a bunch of different chemical exposures that could lead to your testosterone being produced even lower, like cholesterol pills. Statins, for example, are a big one. Cholesterol is a precursor for a lot of your hormones, including testosterone. So if you lower your cholesterol levels too low, it can impact your ability to make testosterone. The same thing is your estrogen levels. They can increase and cause this imbalance with your testosterone levels, depending on, if you're eating foods that have estrogen in them. Certain environmental chemicals have estrogen. BPA was also a big thing that contains some estrogen chemicals as well. So if you're a guy who experiences the symptoms of low testosterone, so let me list it for you again. It's decreased sex drive, erectile dysfunction, depressed mood, difficulty concentrating or your memory, balding, hair balding, what we call gynecomastia, which is the breast tissue enlarging. And sometimes obesity or weight gain is a sign of low testosterone. So if you're experiencing some of these symptoms, then I would highly suggest that you get your testosterone levels checked, okay? And it's a pretty simple test. It's a blood test. The guidelines say that you have to have your testosterone level low, which we consider low is under 300, okay? If it's under 300, 3 times, so under 300 3 times, then you likely will have the diagnosis of low testosterone, or sometimes we call it hypogonadism or testosterone deficiency. So it's very important, though, that you do get those levels checked at a very specific time between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And the reason for that is there is some interaction with other hormones that you create, like cortisol and things like that. So it's really important for you to get it checked between those hours, 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., to get the most accurate recording of what your testosterone level really is, okay? And if you are found to be indeed low, then there are a bunch of things that can be done to replenish or supplement your testosterone. As I'm sure you might be aware of, there are what's called synthetic testosterone products. So you can get that through an injection, and there's gels that you can try. And then there's also what's called bioidentical testosterone products. And they differ in different ways. The origin of these products are different. One is supposed to be more natural, being the bioidentical. They're supposed to be closer to what us humans create within our bodies. Synthetic is, made in more so in a lab, and it's created from very synthetic things, so not necessarily from another mammal being. But it all works differently for different people, so I'm not going to tell you if you need to take the bioidentical or the synthetic. I would say you need to have that conversation with your doctor, discuss with them if you're found to have a low testosterone level, if it's too low, if it's low for you, what are the potential side effects of using this type of product, what are the long-term and short-term side effects, and what can you expect with regards to when your testosterone levels will be repleted. So I definitely think, check in with your doctor about that. And again, I always caveat with this, as much as I love educating you guys about your health and wellness and getting you to a better state of wellness, so excited about that. This is not medical advice. This is just for informational purposes only. So if I say anything that piques your interest and you're like, dang, I got to do that, or I got to make sure that this is going on with me or not going on with me, awesome, but make sure you check in with your doctor. Do not do anything alone, and definitely don't say Dr. Sumner told you to do so. I'm not giving you medical advice. Unless you're my patient, then let's chat, but otherwise, please speak with your doctor. Keep them in the loop, okay? We greatly appreciate it. So if you end up finding that you have a low testosterone level, the great news is it can be repleted in a bunch of different ways. It can be improved. The symptoms that you're experiencing from your testosterone being low can improve as well, whether that's through supplementing through the bioidentical or the synthetic hormone, like I said. And there are actually also natural ways to increase your testosterone level. So that's exciting, right? So we're going to talk about 5 different ways that you can improve your testosterone level naturally. So even if you do decide to supplement with something your doctor prescribes, then you can still implement some of these tips and hopefully not be on the supplement for very long, or you can try this first. It's up to you, but again, keep your doctor in the loop, okay? So tip number 1 to improve your testosterone level naturally is high intensity exercise, okay? High intensity exercise, especially combined with intermittent fasting, okay? We've found from a lot of studies that both intermittent fasting, which is basically a period where you fast intermittently. So for most people, it's usually like a 16-hour fast every day, or some people fast 1 or 2 days a week, you know, something where you're fasting rather routinely, but not forever and ever and ever. So for a lot of people, myself, some of my patients, I recommend, you know, they just eat between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. And 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Does that sound right? No, sorry, 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. So they eat for just an 8-hour period, and then they fast around that. Or some people eat from, 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. or 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. So, or they just fast only on Mondays and Thursdays. So it just depends on you, but intermittent fasting plus some short, intense exercise has been shown to boost your testosterone levels. If you are going to fast, especially if you're a diabetic or you're having some other metabolic issue, please, again, keep your doctor in the loop. Some medications may even interact with the idea of fasting regularly. So please definitely keep your doctor informed, okay? But intermittent fasting, it boosts your testosterone level. It increases the expression of these hormones that make you feel like you're full, including your insulin levels, your adiponectin levels, your glucagon-like peptide levels, all of these different things. These are known to make your testosterone actions more powerful. It can increase your libido, help prevent age-related testosterone decline. So when you are having high-intensity exercise, short high-intensity exercise, this is kind of what a routine like that might look like. You might warm up for 3 minutes, exercise as hard and fast as you can for like 30 seconds, and you should basically feel like you can't possibly go on for another few seconds, so like P90X basically, or there's probably newer stuff since then. Recover at a slow to moderate pace for about 90 seconds, so cool down a little bit for about 90 seconds, and then repeat that exercise, that high intensity 30-second exercise where you feel like you can't give any more, and then the recovery process for about 7 more times, okay? So again, you warm up for 3 minutes, exercise as fast as you can for 30 seconds, feel like you basically can't go on, then you recover at a slow pace for 90 seconds, and then you repeat that whole process about 7 times. So that's about a 20-minute workout, just 20 minutes. And within those minutes, 75% of that time is just you warming up, recovering 4 minutes. And it's hard to believe, but if you've never done this, you can actually get much benefit from just those 4 minutes of intense exercise. So, you can basically use any type of equipment for this. You can use an elliptical, a treadmill, you can swim, sprint outdoors. Basically, as long as you're pushing yourself hard for the 30 seconds, that is the point of this peak exercise, short intensity exercise, activity. So add that to intermittent fasting, and for a lot of people, it's improved testosterone levels significantly. Number 2 tip to improve your testosterone levels naturally is optimize your vitamin D, guys. Oh my gosh, I talk about vitamin D so much. I know, but it's so real. It's such a real epidemic. Like 40% of Americans are deficient, and over 80% of African Americans are deficient. I mean, like, there's such a small minority of people that I've even tested that actually have normal levels. And so, I mean, get it checked, number 1. Vitamin D, it's a steroid hormone. And so it's actually really important for you to be able to produce testosterone. Vitamin D is a part of that precursor that allows you to make testosterone, and it helps maintain your semen quality, your sperm count, and it increases your levels of testosterone, which may even boost your libido. There was actually a study that overweight men who were given vitamin D supplements, they had a significant increase in their testosterone levels after just 1 year. So it's a huge epidemic. So ask your doctor to get it checked, please. It's a very simple test. It's called a 25 hydroxy vitamin D test, or 25 OHD test, okay? And the recommended level is really between 50 to 70 if you can hit it. That's the optimal level. A conventional lab is going to say over 30 is fine, but more and more studies are saying that's really not enough. So between 50 and 70 is the best level. And the best way to get your vitamin D levels up is, of course, sun exposure. Okay, so try to expose a large amount of your skin to the sun as much as you can. And that's usually helpful. But if you're a darker skin tone like myself, then it's not always going to get your levels up where it needs to be, especially if you're indoors for a good amount of the day. So a vitamin D3, not vitamin D2, but vitamin D3 supplement might be worthwhile taking. And the average adult needs about like close to 5,000 units a day to keep their levels where it should be at a minimum. So you can talk to your doctor about that, but just FYI, it's really tough to overdose on vitamin D. There was only like one case so far where someone was taking 100,000 units of vitamin D a day, and he was getting like headaches and nausea. And then once he stopped it, he went back to normal. So it's really tough to overdose, but talk to your doctor. Get that checked and then get it supplemented if you need that to happen, okay? Step number 3 to help lower your vitamin D level naturally. What questions do you have? Drop them in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them along the way for sure. Is sugar. Get rid of the sugar. Limit it. Basically eliminate it if you can, okay? Studies show that testosterone levels, they drop, they decrease after you eat sugar, which is likely because the sugar, it leads to a high insulin level, and that's another factor leading to low testosterone. So, I mean, there are a number of estimates out there, but the most recent, from what I understand, is that the average American eats about 12 teaspoons of sugar a day, you know, like in their processed foods, in their drinks, etc., which is equal to 2 tons of sugar a lifetime. So it's crazy. We eat a lot of sugar as Americans because it tastes good and it makes us feel good, and it puts up the dopamine and the serotonin and all those feel-good hormones. But what it's doing to us on a physical level and an emotional level is bad. It's really bad. And there are, you know, sugars in a lot of foods. It's in a lot of processed foods, grains like bread, pasta, all of those things contain sugar. So if you're struggling with a sugar addiction, try to take some steps to kick it, especially sodas, those iced teas, those are biggies too. So try your best to eliminate the sugar as much as you possibly can out of your diet. It will, in fact, help with getting those testosterone levels boosted naturally, okay? So that's number 3. Number 4 is, let's chat about zinc, okay? The mineral zinc, it's important, very important for testosterone production. And if you supplement your diet for just about 6 weeks or so, there are enough studies to show that it can cause a huge improvement in your testosterone levels, okay? And there's also studies to show that for folks who have restricted diets that don't have enough zinc in them, it leads to a significant decrease in testosterone. So it's really important. It's estimated that about 45% of adults over 60 are not eating enough zinc, and I'm sure that even some adults over 30 or 40 aren't either, but we'll check into those studies as early as we can. Your diet is really how you need to get zinc. There's, there are, from what I understand, some zinc supplements, but we may not be absorbing it effectively. So your diet is really the best way to go about it. So some of the foods that are really high in zinc are those protein-rich foods like meats, fish. If you can tolerate dairy, then raw milk, raw cheese, beans, yogurt, those kind of yogurt, or even kefir, if you can try to swing that. Those are things that have a huge amount of dietary zinc. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. A lot of the chemicals that they put like in the soil, unfortunately, it depletes the soil of some of these nutrients. So I would love to recommend tons of veggies and fruit, which is great for you for so many other reasons. So please eat your veggies, please eat your fruit. At least half of your plate should be that. But don't expect to get tons and tons of zinc from those sources, unfortunately. But if you need to take a zinc supplement, you can always ask your doctor to check your zinc levels. You can either check a serum zinc level or what's called an RBC zinc level, a red blood cell zinc level, which is actually much more accurate. It's the more accurate way for us to know if you're deficient. And if you're found to be deficient, eat some of those foods that we chatted about or a zinc supplement. A dosage of less than 40 milligrams a day is pretty much good for most people. Because if you do take too much zinc, it can interfere with you absorbing other minerals like copper, for example. And unfortunately, there is a potential side effect of nausea for those who take zinc supplements, so keep that in mind as well, okay? So that's number 4 way for you to naturally boost your testosterone levels. And last but not least, and super important, is number 5, your stress, okay? And I know, guys, you have every right to feel stressed. I'm not going to down you for that at all. You've got a lot of responsibilities. I get it. As a woman, I got a lot too. But I understand a man's responsibilities are on a different, they're in a different zone. And I understand that. So when you're under a lot of stress, though, the issue is your body, it releases high levels of this stress hormone called cortisol. And cortisol actually blocks the effects of testosterone. Okay, so that's interesting, right? And the assumption, the theory, at least right now, is because from a biological standpoint, the behaviors that are associated with testosterone, like mating, competing, aggression, they might lower your chances of survival in an emergency, like what's called, the fight or flight response. So that's a theory, but overall, we do know that cortisol does block your effects of testosterone, that stress hormone. And if you're dealing in this modern world with chronic stress, where you are, dealing with stress from work, stress from your health, stress from home, stress from relationships, stress from your kids, stress from your parents, stress from your brother, like it goes on and on and on. I understand that. You might have these chronic elevated levels of cortisol, and that could also mean that your testosterone, even if you might have enough, it's not able to work effectively because cortisol is blocking those effects. So it's really important to work on managing your stress. There's a bunch of ways to do it. There's, therapy, of course. Some people do meditation, some people do prayers, some people go to the gym. There's a technique called the emotional freedom technique, EFT, that you can certainly YouTube. It's been very helpful for a lot of people. Yoga, going to a comedy show. There's a bunch of things that you can do to lower your stress levels, and it can make a world of a difference for not just your testosterone levels, which it will, but also for so many other things. So definitely keep that in mind. So we chatted about, again today, 5 different natural things that you can do to help elevate your testosterone levels. So if you're experiencing any symptoms of your testosterone being low, such as erectile dysfunction, low libido, balding hair, gynecomastia, depression, your muscle mass is getting smaller, those are all possible signs of low testosterone. Ask your doctor to get those levels checked, and if you find that it's low, then work on it. Let's work on it. So there are different things you can do naturally. You can certainly supplement with a synthetic or bioidentical hormone. Just to recap, we talked about high intensity exercise combined with intermittent fasting. We talked about also optimizing your vitamin D levels, okay? We talked about limiting or totally eliminating, if you can, sugar from your diet. We talked about making sure that you get plenty of zinc in your diet and reducing your stress levels. So was this information helpful for you? Let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to chat with you guys about topics that will improve your health and your wellness, because I want you to be well, whole, energized, and loving life. If you want to hear more of this information, please be sure to subscribe or like or follow my Facebook page. I've got plenty of awesome videos on there related to a diverse array of topics. And join my Be Well Facebook group. I've got a lot of extra information there, and we're going to do a lot more interactive stuff in that group very soon, so I'd love to have you join me. And if you're in the Philadelphia area or surrounding suburbs, we have an amazing practice here in Delaware County. We'd love to have you join us. If you know someone who is, then please check us out at www.synergizedpc.com. And again, it is great to chat with you. I, again, am Dr. Felicia Sumner. I'm your board-certified family medicine physician. I am dedicated to breaking down the massive wall between doctors and patients so that you can live your best life, because you deserve to be well, whole, energized, and loving life. Take care, guys.